Alright, let's just get going here. Here are all the elements I've brought in from Fab. Got this nice fireplace, which is where I thought I'd start when I had this idea for this room. And I just went and grabbed a few pieces of Fab. I, got all of them from when I had Bridge and had a whole bunch of points. I'm just setting up the walls here. Just standard plane, making them straight. This is how I usually just work. I'll just build a plane and cut from the bottom. It allows me just to set the walls up fast and just use the shell. Push it up, and then I'm just cutting out the doorways. Sorry, I've had to speed this up quite fast because 2 hours, it was actually like 3 hours, and it didn't even take me that long to make the scene, maybe 8 hours of recording. But I didn't know if anyone wanted me to watch me push pixels around for 8 hours, so I've cut it down to 2, and just let me know if this works. I'm trying to show everything I'm doing. Now I'm just centering that fireplace, using this as a measurement block. I thought during this video also I'd just talk about stuff that I've been thinking about as a 3D artist, mainly around software and commercially. I think I'm going to stay with Max, but I'm starting to consider moving over to Blender and doing some more creative work there, because I'm just sort of tired of Max and how there's nothing new. You go into Blender and you can literally make anything, simulations and sculpting, everything, it's all there. Yes, it's not like the best, but it's one package, it's completely free, and why not? So thinking about moving this kind of work over there, and instead of using Max, and just try to build another skill set. I've been on a campaign to learn more software. I've learned plasticity, so I'm just gonna keep going. I'm learning DaVinci Resolve to make this video, get away from Adobe as much as possible. Anyway, here I am just setting up the camera. This is the main sort of view of this room. I ended up just sticking with this. It's all centered in this corner anyway, so I'm still trying to fuss what I want. Here I'm just bringing in a preset of a lighting I've made before. You'll see me do this throughout the whole project. I just leverage things I've done before. I didn't want to be revolutionary with the lighting. In this project I'm trying to move quickly, trying to execute the vision of I had this moody yellow, you'll see it, yellowy walls, dining room. That's just what I wanted to do, and I wanted to go as quick as possible. In my last tutorial series, you can see I've sort of faulted. It's just too complicated, too many parts, too much tangents, and trying to get it perfect. And this one I'm just trying to go quick, so I'm just setting up some base lighting, tone mapping here to where I want, and this will obviously develop as I develop the scene more. So we've got the yellow walls, and I'm just adjusting the lighting, and we'll do this over and over again throughout the project. I'm still at I don't think I've put any portals in here yet, which is what I think I go do now, because oh yeah, I'm fussing with the Megascans here of items. I'm not 100% sure how best to execute them in Fstorm still playing around, seeing what's best. They seem to break easily with the displacement. Here I'm putting the portals in to just pump a bit more GI into the room. And I'm trying to stay clean as I keep my scene clean as I work here. There we go, much brighter. Here I'm just starting to figure out these Megascans. I think I eventually, I'm not sure if I do it now, but I do switch the store out. This is the high version, they say, and then there's the raw, and I don't know, it still just looked too molded together, and so I switched it out for the high. These material setups, I didn't share that the process of those because I'm still trying to work it out, so I don't feel like it's worth me showing you how I set it up. I just tried to connect the right maps and try to make it look right to my eye. Still not 100% what's the best way to set those up. I know the industry is moving towards that, the way metalness and those kind of setups, so I don't know if we need to set up that in Fstorm. I've mentioned it on the Fstorm forum before, but that's looking quite good. It's sort of pretty much there now. Like, I don't know, like apart from finishing the details, I pretty much got the look that I wanted. Pretty fast there. Pre-made lighting setup that I'd done for another project. Now I'm just making some layers just to keep things clean. And here's me putting the skirts in. These are all Megascans. I think I left these at the high and not the raw because there would be quite a lot of them. And I'm being quite rushed here. I'm trying to move quicker in my projects and not be so precious about making everything perfect. I'm finding it's leading me to be not creative anymore because I'm spending my time trying to make something perfect. And I'm not quite sure who that's for. It's sort of, it's just not worth it. You're better off making 10 projects that aren't perfect. It's my motto in rolling by now, the Voltaire quote, perfect is the enemy of good. I've got it printed on my office wall here. I look at it while I work. You know, just keep moving. Just make things. Stop trying to make them perfect. You know, I think in the Viz community there's this like sort of feeling like if you didn't make all the pieces, you didn't really visualize it properly. Like, it's just bullshit. People like keep bashing things in the like film industry. You know, go look at all the Blender videos. People are just throwing stuff together and it looks good. And that's what that's what is important in the end, not did I build this skirting board perfectly, it's all connected correctly. You can tell in this by the end of it, I make so many like messy mistakes and I just keep going and it looks great. There's no one gonna question it. You get most of the way there and that's all you need. And here I think I was considering changing the HRI to a Vermeer. In the end I just decided to steer away from that. And I'm adding some tabs to my material slate editor to keep things clean. I usually have an environment tab, and just to keep my lighting and environment HRIs in one place so I don't lose them in the viewer. And here I'm just trying different lighting. I thought maybe some distinct lighting shafts would be better, but I steered away from this in the end because I wanted that more like British, overcast, moody feeling to it. And while I was working I came up with the name Sparrow Manor. It just sort of was like percolating as I was working, which I thought was fun. Just to be thinking through the story of the space, you know, of the image, what I'm making as I was building it. You know, just trying different things and seeing which one I like better. I wanted to put some furniture in there, but this wasn't working for me. It's too Parisian. This is more of a British space, and it just wasn't working for me. This Megascans floor though, it looks amazing. And this chair's from The Entire, which is that new service where they're 3D scanning whole furniture and objects. And you just really can't beat 3D scans. Like the level of quality, damage, you know what I mean? That sort of stuff is just really hard to build in. You can just scan it in. And this is just direct. I didn't even manipulate this at all. I connected the maps and it worked perfectly. So I'm really happy with those assets. I hope to expand the library a bit further. here's me going back to the doors, still unhappy with the way they're looking. It just looks terrible. And I think I had my maps inverted there for the bump. It just doesn't look right. I tried to do a lot of sort of test renders along the way to keep myself motivated, full depth of field, like finish the render, try to make it so you can see what it looks like. Sometimes when you're working and you leave them as progress renders without rendering them full out, you just sort of get lost in the work in progress and you don't actually see how well it looks fully rendered. So I'm changing the displacement mode on the Fstorm left and grid, and I thought that may be helping, but yeah, I was wanting to make it more cinematic, and I went full 2 aspect ratio. I thought that looked really great. I've been wanting to work more in the horizontal aspect ratio. My brain automatically wants to go portrait. I just find it like automatically goes there, especially with photography, things like that, and I really wanted to push myself and push a wider shot, try to work with that composition. And this is a table I just found on 3D Sky. It's incredible, it's a really great model. I think I ended up just blending the base material that came with the table with a few extra you'll see here, because the thought of the space is this is like an abandoned manor, and so I wanted to take this, you know, all the items and add, like, because the Megascans had so much damage to them, it's all playing into the same story of like a damaged, abandoned manor, lots of dust, scratches, it's been left, you know, as it was. So yeah, I'm just checking it out. It's pretty good. I think I was just doing minor adjustments. This I don't know if I rebuilt it. Yeah, I ended up just rebuilding it. Sometimes I download 3D models and the material is just so complex, it's just not even worth trying to work out how it works. Especially if it's obviously like a conversion from Corona or something and they have like a different, like, I just find it's just not worth fussing with it. Here I was just putting in the same mapping scales to all of them. Here I go, just about building the base. I'm building the base wood here, as it would be like a base. Like, just checking out, it's not very, I don't really like the roughness in the reflection. You want that like raw wood sort of feeling to it. You'll see what I do now. I add a coat material here to give the varnish, because if I do that, then I can play with making the varnish scratched without touching the table, and I use a full off for that for the blending. I've got some preloaded scratches. It's a really good tip. Have them preloaded into your material as a material library. It's a bit annoying trying to find the right scratch and roughness to work here on the varnish. Here I'm just applying just the varnish so I can see how it looks on its own. Like, it's like software, when you're building software like coding, you've got to isolate the problem first and then sort of, so you can see it, like if you had working at with the material all together, you wouldn't be able to tell. Whereas now I'm adjusting the varnish layer by itself, and then if I apply it all together, then I can mix them and sort of see which one's working for me and what needs to be adjusted. Yeah, I was just trying to work out how to set up the fall off. And here I'm just setting up some material balls. I find this helps sometimes to just get a sense of the reflectivity on the table. That really helps. You can see how the, before we couldn't see how the table was actually reflecting if it had something on it. And these things are like, this first pass is my isolated scene with a material scene setup, which is just like a living room thing, and that's why I use this for my initial setups. Gives me a base material, then I move it into the main scene and I readjust it. I just find if I try to build it in the other scene, there's a lot of factors going on in that room, lighting and just doing other things like reflections and shadows, and it may be difficult for me to... Sorry, I lost the recording of all the rest of that material set up for the table, and to redo it. Anyway, here we go, we've got the table in there, and I think I'm just gonna slightly adjust the materials like I said I would. Bring it into the main scene, adjust it to match the... Just adjusting, because there's real world values on those, sometimes you need to adjust it if the scene scale is different. And yeah. Just using the transform properties across all of those. Yeah. It's a bit too much at the moment. I just fuss about with it now. Please let me know if this stuff is sort of boring, but I guess it's just the under the hood, what I'm doing to make these things look that way. You know what I mean? I think some people don't show this stuff, but this is where it's made. You know, this is where the realism is made. Adjusting these materials to get what you want, like pushing values back and forth and seeing what looks better. I'm just adjusting the color, it was just a bit too saturated. Sorry if you can hear screaming in the background. Now I'm just setting up the moldings. Fab again, Megascans, Quixel Megascans. It's just a wooden molding at the top. Here I'm just taking one of the previous Megascans I set up and just swapping all the maps over. So it'll be the same setup. They were looking good before, so I don't want to mess with it. It's all the same wood, worn wood look, so there's no need to adjust it. Okay, I realized at this point they were backwards. And here they are in the render, they look pretty good. They're just upside down as well. They really look quite worn. Could ease up on the normal map a bit, but I think in the end it doesn't really matter because they're all up the way up to the ceiling. Okay, I did adjust it. Just adjusting the reflection there. looks good. And then I just end up positioning them. I think I do that off camera because it's just repetitive. The same work as the skirt. Into the corner and then just duplicating the others across. And there you go, those are all done. Yeah. And now I'm just trying to set up a mix for the walls because they're just like a pure yellow, and that's just not how paint would fade. It would probably fade in different spots and patches. So just using a mix here with like a grunge to mix between two different colors, just one slightly desaturated yellow, the same. Yeah. Yeah, I'm adjusting the size there using a red color node just to see what I'm doing. I'm just kneading that material up. Now I think I'm getting prepared to do the dirt on the walls. So I've made the same material, just made it darker. Got a mix node there. But as always with the Fstorm dirt, I just need to set up two materials to see what I'm actually doing. All the time I just can't see, especially when you're trying to be subtle like this, it's really hard to see. I never understand the measurements that I'm supposed to put in, the distribution, contrast, so it just, every single time I just sort of mess with it till I get a look at like, and then I can reconnect the original materials for the mix. And this is obviously just a dirt that will just go along every edge. Just sort of darken the edges. And here I've got like a grunge to disrupt how that looks. Just playing the values there, trying to get what I want. I wanted it very dirty. And like I've said with this whole project, I'm just trying to move quickly. There are lots of ways to do this better, you know, substance and even doing distance textures with Fstorm, stuff like that. This is sort of the brute force, quick way to do it. Now I think I try to adjust the ceiling. I didn't know. Oh, I'm still fussing with the... I'm trying to see what the dirt's looking like, how it's distributed. And just the colour there. Now I'm just trying to think about the ceiling. I made a duplicate there and I was going to make like a white ceiling, which is probably what they would have had, but I just sort of felt like it was drawing too much attention upwards and it didn't look right to me. So I just changed plans and got another Megascans material and added that. A different, similar to the floor, similar tone, but just a bit different boards. And I just added that to the ceiling. I wanted the ceiling to disappear, you know. I wanted it just to be dark and, you know, not as noticeable. When it was that light colored, I felt like it drew your eye there.
This has got this sort of feeling like the paint's fallen away, or it's just in decay. There's me still unhappy with those windows. And here I'm adding the glass to the windows. There was no glass before this. So just doing a plane, I was trying to position it. Now these are obviously scanned windows, so they're quite bumpy, and I was trying to think about like how to align the glass in the right place, and I went down this little rabbit hole here. Could I make the splines from the edges and create those into solids, and in the end it was just not worth it. Just a plane with some thickness worked the best. But I thought I'd just leave it in to show you that like I go down many rabbit holes, do the wrong thing, and just backtrack, go with the simpler option in the end. This would have probably not worked out well anyway, so. And plus the window, it's mainly because the windows were not in plane. As you can see here, I have to push these top ones much further back. And this is again me just bringing another material in from another scene. This is like a window with grime. It's like a window from an industrial scene that I had made. I'm just leveraging those things to move quicker. So it's applied there. You can see the ribbed. So I just go take that off because we want plain glass. And here I'm blurring the tone mapping so you can actually see the glass. So now it uses this is a distance texture, so it goes off the window edge. So I just had to add that as an object into the distance in the mix. And then I have the other two windows, and they'll be the same. And then this is when I realized the classic with we're having all the light pass through like solid, real simulated glass is just not worth it. So I've got this, the glass, which is just like ignores the calculating through the window, the fake glass material. It just saves so much render time. You cannot tell the difference most of the time on a window plane, so I always swap out those. Unfortunately, when you use that material, you can't see through it, which is a real pain when you need to set up at the window, so you have to set them to display as a box. But yeah, now we need to add the exterior. So got a bunch of grasses from my library. I'm just bringing them in and set it up with a forest pack. This is super quick, super dirty. I just did not want to get too involved in building out the landscape. It's just out the window. But I did want to build an actual 3D landscape so that if I did an animation, which you've seen I've done, you would actually see movement out there. I do put a plane at the background out there so I don't have to model so far. But this is just me building a very simple plane to scatter the grasses on. The usual forest pack. I don't know how to use Fstorm scatter yet. I have forest pack, so I just know how that works, so it's really quick for me to just get it going. I wasn't sure of the density at this point, what I needed to do, so I think I just did some renders and realized I had to bump the density way up. And here I'm doing clustering, which is the way plants usually grow in like groups of themselves. And even this density, I think I increased it at the end some more. I kept tweaking, and I didn't capture all the tweaks because otherwise it would have been a 4-hour video. So, and here I'm adding some hedging, which I thought would be very on point for like a manor house around the grounds. So this is again quick and dirty, and just setting it in the background. So I'm trying to cut off the view further enough outside that you can see outside. That like the story of the place is like an abandoned manor, overgrown yard. You know what I mean? This is just abandoned. Here I'm adding a noise to the hedge just to add it a bit more variation. So it's all the way in the background. You won't see it. So just putting a few, organizing myself there. There we go. That looks great. It's really progressing. I think at this time I'm thinking it's a bit too dark. But yeah, now we need to add the exterior. So got a bunch of grasses from my library. I'm just bringing them in. I'm going to set it up with a forest pack. This is super quick, super dirty. I just did not want to get too involved in building out the landscape. It's just out the window. But I did want to build an actual 3D landscape so that if I did an animation, which you've seen I've done, you would actually see movement out there. I do put a plane at the background out there so I don't have to model so far, but this is just me building a very simple plane to scatter the grasses on. Just the usual forest pack. I don't know how to use Fstorm scatter yet. I have forest pack, so I just know how that works, so it's really quick for me to just get it going. Here I'm doing clustering, which is the way plants usually grow in like groups of themselves. And even this density, I think I increased it at the end some more. And here I'm adding some hedging, which I thought would be very on point for like a manor house around the grounds. So this is again quick and dirty, and just setting it in the background. So I'm trying to cut off the view further enough outside that you can see outside. That like the story of the place is like an abandoned manor, overgrown yard. You know what I mean? This is just abandoned. Here I'm adding a noise to the hedge just to add it a bit more variation. So it's all the way in the background. You won't see it. So just putting a few, organizing myself there. And here I'm just adding those trees. I thought I'd plant, I think they're like large shrubs. And I was just going to plant them out in the back. And then I realized you can't even see them over the hedge. I just went ahead and deleted those. Trial and error. Especially the exteriors, they're just such trial and error. And here I've added some trees and just putting some grass on the ground. I don't even think I color adjusted it in the end. It didn't really matter. So I got some trees out there. And then I put a backplate image. This is from textures.com, just as like an additional to fill out the background. And you know, I think this just definitely adds to the image. Otherwise it would be a huge gap, and you know, there's so much out there to fill. So if I had to fill it with 3D trees, it would just be too much. So just constantly test rendering to check how it's looking. Here I just used the area tool to cut some of the grasses that were entering the building. here I'm just going to add a bit more storytelling, some of the chairs, I was going to put a sheet over it. I just popped over to Marvelous Designer to do that. Not everyone has Marvelous Designer, but I've got it for my other commercial work, so I thought I'd just leverage it here. I know how to use it for a quick thing like this. So I'm just making a little arrangement, trying to figure out where I'm going to place it. And now I'm just making a clone of those and optimizing them down so they're not so heavy to take them into Marvelous. So that's it, that's the avatar. Now I'm just drawing the sheet on top and I'm making an inset for the fabric edge. So it's just, or most sheets have an edge, like a sewn edge, so that puts it together. And just draping it, adjusting how it's falling, playing with it. And you can see the chair leg poking through there, that's just a density issue. I'm just adjusting the how the fabric, how much shrinkage it has. Okay, and yeah, I'm just going through the different fabric types. Just will change the way the fabric drapes. I find Marvelous Designer is just absurd. You just have to play with values and hope you work out what you're going to do. It's just the most obtuse software. I absolutely hate it. And if something else could do this, I would 100% change. It's just the most ridiculous piece of software. But I use it extensively for my work, so I guess it is what it is. Yeah, you can see I'm changing how much it shrinks and stretches. Now that I'm happy with that, I increase the density, the particle density. That increases the quality of the mesh. There we go. Just letting the mesh settle there after changing the density. Now I'm exporting it. Exporting as FBX is better. I changed to FBX after this because I just find it more stable. That's an OBJ, yeah, it's still, I think it worked out. Fortunately, it didn't come in the right place, so I had to mess with it. There we go, that's the FBX export. Nice and smooth, in the right place, the right orientation. And then I gave it some thickness. I wasn't trying to go too advanced here, just trying to get something in the background. And here I'm just adding a pre-made fabric, and then I think I mix it with a bit of a dirtier, older fabric. The one thing you need to know about Marvelous is it's very sensitive about the unit scale when it comes to like UV and stuff like that. Just gonna make sure everything's set correctly, and you can adjust the tiling to be correct. Okay, I just found this on textures.com, this dirty. I thought that would look better. And then I've got these, I'm not sure where they're from. I think it's also textures.com, these crease normal maps. They really help to add the realism without having to simulate those little creases. It's just not worth it in Marvelous. You'll spend about 9 years simulating it. So, I think that looks pretty good. Just a few adjustments. It's in the corner, so I think I lift it up there because it's halfway through the floor. The floor is displacing up, and Yep, that looks good. Just tweaking the translucency. In the end, I just don't think it really mattered. Here I don't know if you saw me, I bought some spiderweb models of 3D Sky. And here I'm just adding some thickness to them because they didn't seem to want to render and I could not see them for the life of me. And these are not accurate, obviously they'd be very thin in real life, but I was really just pushing it so you could see it. More pieces to the story. And there's the scene coming together. It's got atmosphere on. And here I used the god-awful generate. I used Gemini to generate this oil painting of a woman holding a sparrow. This is probably the only usage of AI I think is worthwhile. You know, in this sort of circumstance, like I'm not going to pay someone to paint a portrait of a lady, and I can't do that, so I could not find an existing artwork I liked, so I looked very hard. So here's just the painting I generated, and now I'm adding some paint effects because I just didn't feel like it looked painted enough. I'm just using filter effects in Photoshop. I think it looks quite good. And now the canvas is obviously square. These image generators love generating square. Just using gen fill here to add the extra space. These tools, you know, are good for this. I can see the usage for this, but just full replacement of people is just gonna lead to trouble down the road. So, I mean, we are the number ones who can get our job losses from this AI, I guess, but we'll have to see how that pans out. There are definitely uses for it as a tool, but not as a full generation of images. I think there's way more that goes into an image than just generating the image. So here I am just setting up the painting. It's just this is again just a 3D model from 3D Sky. Just bringing the painting in and getting it set up. Is Max just not cooperating? Fortunately, this painting was at some weird angle, so. Here I'm adding the roughness to it. You know, that little painting is going to have like it's not going to be on a clean canvas. So, just adjusting those things. The proportion of the image. That looks good. It's hard to see what the glossiness on the painting will look like without placing it directly into the scene, so that's what I do now. On a slight tilt in it, all the paintings would tilt forward. It wouldn't be flush with the wall. And here I'm just grabbing a few extra objects, some books to put on a chair. These are some vintage books. I don't know where I got these, but they're just absolutely excellent. This is some of the best model books I've ever seen, and they've got so much character. You know what I mean? They're not just like a plain, clean, fresh book. There's actual age to these. It actually looks lovely. Just places on the chair there. Actually, off camera, go back and flatten the cushion a little bit so it looks like the books are weighing down on the cushion, just with a soft select. And then this is for the centerpiece of the table, which I want it to be like antique vase with some dead flowers in it, which was surprisingly hard to find a model with some dead flowers that I liked. And here's me just looking at the material that the 3D model came with and then seeing how it's constructed. And then I've got an antique brass that I've got pre-made. It's got some worn edges and stuff like that, and I just pop that on there, just adjusting the color, getting it where I want. And then I again take that dust layer from a previous material I've made, and also the table, and steal that right off, plug it right in there. I've got like this Fstorm library where I've saved all my handy materials. Just is invaluable. Even as a starting point, you just can't beat it. And here's me realizing that the glass is actually not modeled, it's from the map, so. And that's Max crashing on me, because it didn't like that normal map. And here's me adding some of the dirt. Trying to correct the scale. I don't like how this normal map looks. I don't understand why the artist who made this phase didn't just model those glass features, especially if it's mapped on the inside as well. It just starts to look weird. This is the material for the water. I'm just adjusting it to this sort of murky brown color, greenish brown, just like old water. I thought that would look good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I think the dust looks good. And now I'm just adding some of the flowers. These are supposed to be dried flowers. They're supposed to look good, but they look quite good, like as in flowers that were alive and then have died. Just gonna slice them and dice them here. Just cut the stems off. There we go. That was easy. Just placing him in the room now. We're almost there. Now we just run to the end. Final tweaks. Chucked this little set of melted candles on the mantelpiece. Yep. Happy with that. I was just checking out how those materials were made. Adjusting the colors. You know, like they've got their lit candles, so I just wanted to turn those off. Follow the story. I think I was just messing with the waxiness here. They're so far in the back, I don't think it will really matter. Just adjusting the position, more aesthetically pleasing. And those flowers look good. I'm happy how that glass turned out. All the dust and the colour there looks good. Here there's some missing maps, I'm just reassigning the maps. And here now I'll just go through on my own and just tweak little things here and there, make sure they're rendering. I had the atmosphere inside the room and it was just slowing down the render so much. I really liked what it was doing, but it was very, very subtle. So then I just put it as a box outside and just went with that. I wanted to animate this and I knew that would slow us down immensely. So I just thought I'd leave it there and not push the scene any further. So I guess I'll roll the beauty shots, and I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it wasn't too long, and I know it's few and far between when I can post, but have to keep commercial work going. Unfortunately, everyone's got to work, and if I could do this full time, I'm sure I would. Like everyone would love to do that. So if you like this video, chuck me a like, and see if I can keep going with these videos. May change softwares, may change what I'm doing. I'm just keeping it nimble now, so I'll see you around.